Okay, everybody, this is a guided walkthrough for the Bandit 17 level from the Bandit CTF Labs over at overthewire.org. The first thing we need to do is we need to log into the level, but we got a SSH private key from the previous level, so we're going to need to use that private key to log in. So what does an SSH private key look like? Let's talk about it a little bit before we move on. Okay, so we're talking about SSH private keys. So the previous level didn't give us a password, but rather an SSH private key. These keys can be used instead of passwords. So simply creating this file on our host is not enough, because SSH private keys require very specific file permissions to be considered valid. So before we use the SSH private key, we need to do some modification to it. But first of all, let's take a look at what the private key looks like first over here. So in the previous level, we created this key over here called bandit17.key. So this was created from copying the output that we got from the service on SSL. So if we take a look at the contents of the key, it's going to be begin RSA private key, and then a bunch of base64 information over here. And at the end, it's going to say end private RSA private key. So if we have this file, we can use it to log into the next level via the SSH program. And this is how we do it. So like we saw in the notes over there, we need to change the file permissions for this key before we can use it. So if we take a look at the file permissions here, we can see that that both groups and global users can read this key, and this is not considered safe by SSH. I'll demonstrate what actually happens if we try to use this key as it is. Let's do that. So SSH, we're going to specify I for private key, and we're going to give the name of the private key, bandit17.key. We're going to log in as bandit17 at bandit.labs.overthewire.org on port 2220. So the problem here is it says warning unprotected private key file. Permissions 0644 for bandit17 key are too open. It is required for your private key files to not be accessible by others. This private key will be ignored. So we can't use this key as it is. So what we need to do is we need to adjust the permissions. And we can do that by giving this command over here. So chmod, we're going to change the permissions. So change mode is what the command stands for. We're going to set it to 600. 600 means that the file owner gets full permissions, but all the other users, the group user and the global users, get 0 permissions. So we run this on bandit17.key. And now that we've adjusted this, we'll see that the bandit key doesn't have any permissions for anything other than the file owners. So it's going to be the same command as before, ssh-i, and then the name of the key, and then bandit17 at bandit.labs.overthewire.org, port 2220. So this works, I say ahead of time. Okay, so we managed to log into the level. Okay, let's be very careful, and let's take a look at what we actually need to do for this level, because logging in is just half the battle. So this is going to be level 17 to 18. And on this level, the level goal states there are 2 levels in the home directory, passwords.old and passwords.new. The password for the next level is in passwords.new and is the only line that has been changed between passwords.old and passwords.new. Okay, so let's talk a little bit about this. It's not a very complicated solve for this level. So we're talking about the diff command. So the diff command is a very easy to use command inside of Linux, and it'll tell you the differences between one file and another file. So we've been instructed to find the line that has changed between the passwords.old file and the passwords.new file, and we use that as the password for the next level. So all we need to do is use the diff command to do this. So it's going to be diff, and then the first file, and then the second file. So the order matters in this case. So if we want to see what line has been changed in the passwords.new file versus passwords.old, we have to do passwords.old first and then passwords.new. Let's demonstrate this. So over here, in the directory, there's passwords.new and passwords.old. So we just need to give this command, diff passwords.old and then passwords.new. So if we give this command, we can see from the output that this line in passwords.old was replaced by this line in passwords.new. So this is the password for the next level. So this is Bandit 18. Okay, so before we finish, let's talk about what we did in this level and with a little recap. So this is Bandit level 17. Password was the SSH private key from the previous level. Our objective in this level is to see which line is changed between passwords.old and passwords.new. And the method of solve, after we sign in using the SSH private key, is use the diff command to see what line has changed. It's very easy, but we need to provide the diff passwords.old, passwords.new. All right, everybody, that was a guided walkthrough for the Bandit 17 level from overthewire.org, Bandit CTF Labs. If you enjoyed this guided walkthrough, please click on the like and subscribe buttons on the video and put a comment underneath the video. But until next time, HackerFrogs out.
Hey there, HackerFrogs! Are you enjoying this workshop? Learning new concepts and skills? If so, there's a way you can support the channel, and it's totally free. Just click on the subscribe button below the video. Also, click on the like button. And if you have questions or comments on this workshop, please leave them below the video. Thanks for listening. And now, back to our scheduled programming.